The rivers and lakes of Japan have long been home to all kinds of strange creatures of all shapes and sizes. Although many of them stem from Japanese urban legends, folklore, and myths, there are other creatures that transcend these boundaries, and are even considered to be something more cryptozoological in nature. One of the most famous is a mysterious, bipedal water-dwelling creature known as a kappa, which has soared past its origins in local folklore to become a legend, a pop culture icon, and a mysterious creature that is said to have been sighted frequently. What is Kappa? Kappa are one of many types of water monsters that have long featured in Japanese folklore and are said to inhabit the country's lakes or rivers. Kappa's appearance also varies from tradition to tradition and region to region, but they are usually depicted as being the size of a child aged 6 to 10 and resembling a cross between a turtle, monkey, and lizard. Kappa are often depicted as having a shell on their back, similar to a turtle, having large webbed hands and feet, and having a mouth like a beak, or depending on tradition some say it has rows of sharp shark-like teeth. Some reports also mention the messy hair that covered his body. One of the most prominent and peculiar features scattered throughout Kappa folklore is the presence of a bowl above the head, which is said to contain a liquid that gives Kappa supernatural powers. When confronted by an enraged Kappa, the best way to defeat him is to subdue him, and spilling the liquid in his bowl will weaken him and allow the normally formidable creature to be overpowered. Kappa are most often depicted as evil entities, with tendencies for mischief and violence. They are said to frequently abuse women as well as harass travelers and challenge passers-by to sumo matches. In the more sinister and dark stories, Kappa are represented as murderous monsters who attack people, livestock, and horses, dragging them to their death underwater and sucking blood or life force from their bodies and leaving behind lifeless husks. It is said that one should not venture to the water's edge alone lest one fall victim to Kappa attacks. A rather gruesome detail of this attack is that it is often stated that they have a tendency to suck out the victim's stomach contents through the anus. Despite this vicious and somewhat repulsive image, Kappa are said to have a kind side as well. For example, they are said to show great aptitude in medicine, especially setting bones, and it is said that if a Kappa is captured, he will offer his services to his captors in exchange for his release. Kappa may also take pity on injured or sick travelers and will help and care for them. In addition, they are said to hate metal and loud noises, and are very obsessed with cucumber. The desire for these cucumbers is said to be so strong that Kappa will do anything to get them, and in the past many residents of areas allegedly infested with Kappa would bring cucumbers hoping to bribe the creatures to release victims or to put their medical talents to use. Of all the Kappa stories that sound like fairy tales, in fact there are many very real reports from people who have seen them. And one of the most detailed and amazing we will discuss this time. The mysterious Kappa sighting case. The witness didn't want to give his real name, so we'll just call him Taro. He also didn't want to tell the exact city where this happened, but it was a rural area located along a river, and Taro lived in a modest house right near the river. He says it started when his 10-year-old son came home from exploring the riverbank one afternoon. The boy seemed to be in a state of agitation, and when asked what had happened, he excitedly told his father that he had seen a strange figure near the water. He said the figure was naked with green skin and a frog-like face and large, sad-looking eyes. This figure stood on a rock by the river, and then plunged into the water and disappeared. It was an odd thing for the boy to say. He also couldn't have made up a fairy tale, and other witnesses who were at the scene also claimed to have seen the creature. There was no trace of anyone there, but in the heat of the day Taro could see that the top of the rock was wet, as if something of water had been standing there. The boy still insisted that everything he was telling was true, but at that point his father thought he must have been mistaken. However, whatever it is unlikely to be forgotten, because Taro will see something that is no less mysterious in the coming days. The following weekend, Taro went to the riverside to fish, as he did most weekends. It was a warm, sunny day, which looked great for fishing, as it didn't take long for Taro to catch a few fish which he then dug into his bucket. A moment later, Taro saw that there was a pool he wanted to try not far away, so he carefully walked along the rocks, leaving his bucket behind to better keep his balance on the treacherous rocky shoreline, until he made it to the pool and start fishing. The village he lived in was a very remote hamlet, so there was no one else out there apart from that Taro, so while fishing he relaxed and observed the soothing sounds of the countryside, such as the sound of water, birds, and crickets buzzing, forming a beautiful melodic tapestry. Beautiful, except for one other voice that suddenly disturbed her. He described the disturbing sound as a sort of loud, sharp rasp, followed by what sounded like a deep throat crunch, and it was heard coming from behind where he had left his things. Taro would relate this. At first I couldn't see anything, then I heard the croaking again, this time louder and unlike anything I'd ever heard before. I knew there must be something there, probably someone else in the river, so I started back out of curiosity. That's when I saw him. Slowly he came out of the water and I was shocked by what I saw. It was a short, childlike creature with glistening greenish skin, without scales, but perhaps more like rubber. It has a round body with a pot belly and long, muscular arms ending in large, webbed hands. I can't see his feet yet. His face was like my son said, like a frog, only with a long snout that also looked like a dog's. There were no ears that I could see, and the two holes on the muzzle looked like nostrils. The mouth is very wide, the eyes are very large and round. The creature stared at me. The hoarse voice immediately came back, which I took as a warning sound to me. I stopped where I was. The creature then crawled slowly out of the water on two long, tapered legs, but one leg appeared to be injured, as it appeared to be limping. He went straight to my fish bucket and looked at him with those big eyes, then looked at me again, then uttered another sound before his hand reached down into the bucket for one of my fish, which he popped into his mouth before grabbing the other one. After that, he let out a hoarse voice one last time and dived into the water to disappear. I quickly realized that I knew exactly what I had seen. It's Kappa. Taro then checked the area he was in and found strange webbed footprints that had never been noticed. After this, Kappa would disappear, never to be seen again, leaving many mysteries behind him. Surprisingly, this particular creature looks hurt, and maybe even shows some kind of communicative thanks for the free fish it got. This case of Kappa sightings is truly extraordinary, and not only is it the most detailed Kappa sighting ever, but also perhaps somewhat sad and tragic. So do you think Kappa is real or just another Japanese urban legend and myth passed down for generations? The answer may not be clear, but one thing is for certain, Kappa will live on, and these legendary creatures continue to make themselves known over time.